ask Joe if we want to do that.
That sounds good.
All right, so Bill, I'm going to throw this to you, sir, to introduce some of our speakers tonight to the rest of the class.
Yes. Let me go ahead and, okay, here we go. Let me go ahead and officially put the screen up
Okay.
and let my Mac just spin.
Uh-huh.
Oh, gosh. Well, guys, while we're here, welcome to Breaking into Design, Career Planning and Portfolio Development, week 4. This is our interview, our mock interview week. And so again, interviewers, thank you all for coming. Our students, you all are looking great. So well done there. And spinning ball of death. Okay. So as I am waiting for this screen to pop up, which I'll tell you what, I am going to stop share because why bother? Let's let our interviewers really introduce themselves. And so Dave, I'd like to start with you, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Dave Ferber. I've been in and out of the UX community for many years. I worked with Jay Shu for several of those years. So I've been an independent contractor at some of the local boutique agencies like Bottle Rocket and Project 202. I'm currently working at Frost Bank out of San Antonio. However, I'm a technical program manager, so I'm relying back on my technical server client arrangements as far as my current position, but it is a very nice greenfield situation where I'm helping Frost develop some good progression from waterfall to agile growth still within the banking industry, and particularly given what's hot in the news, making sure that everything is on the up and up, and that when auditors come in, that yay verily we can show them where projects were done well and properly documented well and can be supported.
Awesome. Dave, thank you so much. Chris, can you please go next?
Sure. I'm Chris Lasinski. I'm currently doing a rotation on the revenue enablement team at Mural. I have been in and around the UX community most of my career, and I've done a lot of work in human-centered design. So I'm happy to join this crew again. Jay and I ran into each other in person in Austin, and like Jay does, he just collects people.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you, Chris. Kaushik, please.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Kaushik Dave, and I'm the senior manager of UX at 7-Eleven. I go back with both Jay and Brian and Dave Ferber here. Like, you know, I've worked with them over at Sabre. I've been in the industry for over 16 years. I've done this in the past. I love kind of, you know, helping you know, all your students kind of go through this process. So happy to be back.
Awesome. Thank you. Next is Dee, please.
Hey everybody, Dee Sadler. I've been in design for around 34 years and UX 27, which basically means I've done pretty much all the roles. I started as a visual designer, graphic designer. I've done front end, I've done user research, was an interaction design manager. I've been director for the past 7 years. And I have 4 courses on LinkedIn Learning on design ops. And I love giving back to the community.
Awesome. Thank you, Dee. And last but not least, Joe, please.
So I've had a pretty interesting career. I met Jay about 20 years ago now, in some random job thing. So I will tell the story later. But so I've been in the industry for a while now. I've worked for some pretty fun companies, including Google. I was in New York at Google for a little while. and Harley Davidson and some other companies. There's a lot of fun. Currently, I am running the innovation lab at a company called Jewelers Mutual, where we insure about half the jewelers in America, which gives us a really cool opportunity to, with that influence, with all these jewelers, we have this influence to be able to actually push different types of experiences outside of insurance. That's pretty amazing. So it's an interesting opportunity to be able to be disruptive in an industry that before I started this job, I had very little knowledge of. I don't wear any jewelry. So other than that, yeah, I've been in the hospitality industry. I worked with Jay and Brian for a while at Sabre. I heard several of you talk about the banking industry. I was at Citibank for a while as well. So one of the cool things is, with Brian and Jay, one of the cool things about the UX community is that it's kind of a close-knit group, and you end up running into each other multiple times. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. So guys, let me give you all the rules of the game here. This is a mock interview. We're not going to get a lot of time. You're going to get about 17 to 18 minutes to converse. What I'm going to try to do is let you have about 11 to 12 minutes of time. And then I'm going to say, hey, there's 4 to 5 minutes left. And then I'm hoping that interviewers, that the students will be able to turn the tables a bit, maybe ask you some questions. And so it's going to go very quick. You guys are going to need to, people who are interviewing need to go very top level, very quickly. But I'm hoping you'll get a chance to ask questions back to our interviewers so that you can get some feedback you wouldn't normally get in interviews. Jay, have I covered everything?
I think so. I just to our guest interviewers, in a normal interview, and Joe and I actually talked about this a little bit, they're legally, from an HR perspective, you are not allowed to give feedback back to interviewers or interviewees during an interview. It's a lot of legal HR stuff. So that's what makes this opportunity different, is after you do your interview, if possible, save some of that time at the end to say, okay, interviews officially, give me some feedback that can help me with the next interview. What are some insights that you saw? What are some observations you saw? How can I adjust, right? Those kind of things are what you want to do. Back to you, Bill.
Okay, awesome. So guys, I was just about to type, but I'll let you know, everybody who's not in the first round of rooms will be in a green room to discuss maybe strategies or what you've learned. We have 5 interviewers, and we have 13 students. So you're going to spend some time in the green room tonight. So talk to each other, get some good tips. Guys, with this, I'm just going to go ahead and let's get started. The first 5 ladies who came to class are in the first round of interviews. Everyone else is in the green room. Enjoy this, have fun, and we'll see y'all back in about 17, 18 minutes. Okay, Jay, just so you know, I have someone picking something up at the house. I will be right back.
Wait. Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
we still
right.
have people.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, you're right. Okay,
Bill?
this is
Take a deep breath, Bill.
this is brilliant on my part. Okay, so D goes to the D room. Dave goes to the Dave
F room.
room. I can't believe I was so smart on this and yet so stupid. Yay me. Joe goes to the Joe class. Kaushik goes to the Kaushik. Sorry, guys. Oh my gosh.
Okay, Joe, are you seeing where to go? Yep.
Awesome. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Incredible.
observations, I think we, there's an opportunity for, maybe highlighting some of the key aspects of each area and what you actually have done specifically and what was your particular role in the process, because I know this is a group effort, right? You have different, you have multiple students who are engaged in it. So if you are sort of like, you were more focusing on a research space or more in the visual design or prototyping phase, kind of highlighting some of those areas, so that basically you sort of like express your own personality and what you have actually added as a differentiators. I think that's really helpful. Even when I interview other candidates, I think that's important, especially for students, because you want to understand what are the things that you have focused on in the process and what you can learn out of it. And I think the takeaways are important to me. I think as again at this level, I believe it's important to kind of summarize, what have you learned or what you would have done it differently if you would have had more time and other, if there are some constraints or other considerations that stopped you. So that's all I have, but I think they're doing great. I lost probably with, I think it was Shauna. Maybe we focused more on the interview, but I lost the opportunity, but I'll definitely connect with her so I can provide more feedback. But no, I think you have a good set of students here.
Thank you, Kaushik, so much. Bill, I'm going to throw it back to you for maybe we can get one more round with Kaushik and then.
I'm fine for one more. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Kaushik.
Then guys, let's jump in and keep on interviewing. There we go.
I want to stop recording.
Oh.
Back for y'all. So I know, Bill, are you ready to go?
Yes, I'm opening the rooms for the last session. So guys, knock it out of the park. Have fun.
They're all going to go outside of Red Oak and start a commune of people from the class. And I said, oh, the cult of UX, right? UX.
Well,
So,
I was telling Dee that what she didn't know about the reason why we're all so user focused was because you had been brainwashing us for the last 6 months with your I am not the user, I am not the user, I am not the user, like over and over. So I kind of ratted you out, but I mean,
that's okay.
it worked, and now we're going to all be on a commune somewhere doing UX and creating genius.
Nice.
Product.
I can't wait for the
And user
documentary.
experiences.
Well, and I told Alex, Jay, that even as recent as within the last month, that I had a seasoned UXer tell me that, well, I can relate to this, I'm kind of the user for this. And I'm like, oh no, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah, it is the curse of being a designer that sometimes we start eating our own cuisine, because I've stopped saying eating our own dog food, right? But eating our own cuisine is that we start forgetting why we got into UX in the first place and that we are not the users. So yeah, and I've seen that happen. I actually, Joe's probably seen that happen too in some of the places and all the interviewers. I know I want to help get our guests out in a reasonable amount of time because they've already volunteered. But what I like to use this time for at the end of sessions is kind of a playback on some of the things they saw, both things that are positive and I wonder kind of vibe, where to all the students who went through this process, what are the things you liked? What are the things you wonder about, or what guidance would you give moving forward, right? In both interviews and portfolio. So I know some of our students didn't get a chance to meet as many folks as they wanted to. So some of them were in the green room and they didn't get a chance to connect with you. So this is also an opportunity to help some of the students who didn't get a chance to connect with a lot of you, some advice and guidance from y'all's perspective. I'm going to start with the first person who's looking at me, and that's Joe. I wonder how much money I owe you, Joe, by the way you're looking at me, but that's okay. So Joe, why don't you get us started?
You owe me all the money.
Okay.
No, I really appreciate y'all letting me join. I think you did a really good job. So when I'm interviewing folks for a position, and I've told everybody that interviews this that I talk to, when I'm interviewing folks, obviously having a solid portfolio as far as a visually solid is a plus. But in a lot of places that I've worked for, the interviews that I've done, I supply the Legos. So I supply the Legos so that I can help you build what we need. What I want to focus in on is the process that you took to actually get to a solution. And so I want to see that you took the proper steps, whatever the steps those are, to understand who the user is, what the solution is you're trying to build, or what the solution is you're trying to solve for, and then what was the solution that you actually built to help with that problem that you're solving for. So what's kind of become a problem in a lot of companies is that we take features to build a UX as opposed to try to define the solution and finding a problem and then building solutions to fix that problem as opposed to having features. So I'm really focusing on the process that you did, understanding the user, document it. Now in your portfolio, when you're doing an interview, I wouldn't put a whole lot of words, just maybe have some visual cues, make it simple and just talk through what you did and make it a conversation. And always keep in mind too, when you're in an interview, the interview is going both ways, right? I'm interviewing you to see if you'd be a good fit for my team. You're interviewing me to see if you'd be a good fit for you. So every interview, people are going to be nervous, but just understand that it goes both ways. You're trying to interview that person as well. So, but I think what I saw and the conversation I had, I really think it's valuable that you guys are putting such emphasis on the empathy part of it, which is so key to UX. I mean, it is so important. That's why we got into this job, right? We want to build solutions. And when you get into the industry, it's gonna be a battle to try to keep that up. And one of the good things about understanding the user before you do anything, before you make any understand the user, is that once you build a solution, you start to push it off to the business. That also helps with the sell of your idea too, right? You have the data and the backing to be able to say that, hey, this is why I made this decision, is because of the user or whatever data that you built, that you brought about. And you know, and I think with the people I talked to, you're going to do great. The work the conversations were great, this community is really small, and so please reach out. Love to connect.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Joe, you get to pick of our guests who you would like to go next. So that's how I do this.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Dave.
All right.
Thanks, Joe. So first off, well done, Jay, and you and the teachers and leaders of this group. You've got a fantastic crop of students that you guys have nurtured, taught, skilled, browbeaten, whatever the case might be, bored to death, probably talking, knowing you. But they're awesome. Empathy abounds, as Joe said. I come in with a different tact, a different perspective. I come in having been on the technical side and on the UX side in a leadership, project management, program management, director of UX roles. So I kind of instilled on them some of my thoughts and utilized some of those interviewing skills where I had them jump back, made sure that they were able to talk articulately about that, come back down to where they were and be able to go through. threw nobody off. Everybody was spot on. Everybody did a great job there. Asked kind of off the wall questions just to see, if I could rattle their cage, but everybody was great. So I sense a strong feeling amongst the force here of everybody liking the health industry and empathizing and want to be able to stick their fingers into those waters and try that. So, and it's definitely an industry that needs that kind of effort. Couple of words of wisdom. Work with your developers as early as possible. Bring them in to your low fidelity diagrams and explain to them what's going on. These people are going to be your advocate because they're going to see it as a low fidelity. They're going to see it as a high fidelity. If you're doing a waterfall, if you're doing agile, invite them to the demos, make sure they're there, make sure they're seeing what's going on. Because when it goes over to that side, and as much as we try to not have an over the wall mentality, it's still going to go over the wall. And you're not going to be there to champion your design. But I'll tell you what, the people that you brought in, that you've had them go through, they're going to be your advocates. They're going to make sure your design doesn't go from a beautiful drawing and outlay with radio buttons and sliders to a spreadsheet. That's the default for every developer. Make it a spreadsheet.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave.
Yes, so this is great. I appreciate everybody that spent their time here. Happy to help you out however I can. Reach out on LinkedIn. Just a fantastic crew. Well done. Oh, one other thing. Don't throw away your old designs, because when you go present it to business and they're going to go, oh, I don't like that. What about if we do this? You go, oh, like this? And then you've already got it. And they go, yeah. And then you either say, okay, well, we can do this, or you go, well, the reason we got away from this and went to this is because of this life cycle here. People that haven't been on the journey with you don't know the journey. So by having the prior drawings, low fidelity, high fidelity, or whatever, I've seen it so many times that the business gets in there or management gets in there. Well, I surf the internet. I know what you guys do. So they're going to say, they're going to have their own still. Well, we looked at that, but that really didn't work. So keep your old stuff.
That's awesome. Dave, who would you like to go next?
Let's toss it over to D. And I didn't get to pick on you this time, Dave. So. All right, so I threw in my LinkedIn, and I think that is a free version of my first design ops course that I added in there as well. And if it's not, let me know. I think it's the free version though. All right, so the one thing that I noticed a few people had done that I really appreciated seeing because was a lean model canvas, which I love a good lean model canvas. And I, had mentioned that really that is where, I would work normally with, the C-suite, folks, and help them understand whether you should even do that thing or not, what the users need versus, what the business needs are, and help them, figure out the direction that they need to go. So don't be afraid to, put things like that, in your portfolio, things that have nothing to do with the actual interface, like a good user flow. I love to see that you're thinking about a user. I didn't see any, but, journey maps, user flows, task flows. There's a difference between a user flow and a task flow, by the way. Make sure that you're, showing how you solved it, right? So show me, what's the problem that you're trying to solve for the user. I don't care about the requirement, right? Then show me how you solved that problem for the user. And I saw a couple of, like a lot of steps, and I mentioned that there are some folks in the UX world who think those, what the steps should be. And that was a flag for me, is like, make sure that you're saying this is the process that we followed for this particular project, rather than this is my process in general, so that it's very specific, because you might do something totally different for a different project. I might not need to do, wireframes, or I might not need to do this or that because I already know this or that, right? For a particular project. So things are going to vary. So make sure that it's specific to that particular, project. And if you're going to show things like a style guide, don't throw that in the middle of things. Keep that, towards the end, and really be true to your process then and how you're showing me. The last thing I want to know is your measurement of success. So, and I've mentioned to several of the folks that, we have to help product a lot of the time figure out, okay, well, the business need is to, add 50 more people onto this for this particular feature. But what if all 50 hate it? So there's got to be, what's in it for the user. And that has to be measurable and time bound, right? So you can't just say, well, they're gonna, be able to do it faster. Well, give it, some actual measurement. So the, who, the what, and then the wow, for the user, so that they, so that that you can measure that, because then that can be measured for the team, for the product leads, and for, the upper leadership can see how the UX team is doing, and it will help grow the team in general. So that's my advice in a nutshell.
Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Dee.
Awesome.
I think it's Chris. Last but not least.
Saving
I
the
was going to call on her
troublemaker
anyway, but
Yeah.
before Bill banishes me to a room by myself again,
or
it's
doesn't put you in a
Don't
room.
tempt me. Don't tempt me.
Nobody puts baby in a corner. Anyway, so one of the things that I saw is that, you've got a lot of people in this program who are career changers. And one of the things I would love to see you craft more powerfully is your narrative, your why. And how does what you've done before, because everybody I talk to has unique experiences that are going to help them with user empathy, that are going to help them understand and give them the context to be better at this role. So crafting a story. I also want to tell you, when you look at those job descriptions, I had this conversation with somebody. When you look at that job description, it says, I need 8 years of this and 6 years of this and 5 years of that. It's okay if you meet some portion of them to apply anyway. Craft your narrative. And if you fall short in some way, shape, or form, have a plan to talk to that. I taught myself this skill that I was interested in, and here's how I did it. You're not going to hire somebody who has every single thing on that laundry list, because as a manager, you can't afford that person. And if you can't afford that person, they're going to jump in 3 months because they're going to be bored. By the time you get them up to speed, they're going to leave. So you're looking for somewhere along the spectrum. So what you need to do is craft your narrative and talk about your stories. So using your portfolio, using projects you've done. If you don't have projects that you've done enough diversified, do work for a charity. Pick something that you're passionate about so you can get published work. Value yourselves, don't give it away to businesses, but give it away to charities that you're passionate about. Know your own worth. So I'll end with that, Jay.
That is awesome. I'm going to add on really quick to what Chris said. Yes, and because that's what
Yes, and that's what we do,
yes,
Jay.
that's what we do. Yes, is Also do your passion project. That skill, that augmented reality, virtual reality, machine learning, AI, have that in your back pocket, that experiment, that thing you're trying to learn. Instead of just saying, I want to learn this, turn it into a project. Because when you try to apply things that you're learning, that's when you learn the most. And I think employers are going to be impressed that you were interested in learning this and you turned it into a project, right?
And you can tell the story of what you did and how
Yes.
you, and that you care enough to invest in yourself.
Yes, because those are the type of employees people are looking for right now, is people that if the company can't afford to train you, you are motivated enough to seek out that information on your own to get that to improve yourself, right? So that's the kind of story. And I love the fact that you mentioned story too, Chris, because storytelling is one of the big skill sets that I keep hearing that's a trending right now, is people are looking for really good storytellers. And storytellers, being good at storytelling takes practice, 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 right? And so everyone who I invited today is really good storytellers, right? I mean, so all these interviewers who you interviewed with, the one thing they have all in common, very diverse backgrounds, very different personalities, but they are amazing storytellers. And that's one of the reasons I'm friends with them, good friends, because we share stories, tell stories, and that unites us, right? That's one thing. I want to let them go, but before then, I want to give the students a chance for anybody that would like to share, give some feedback to the interviewers and say some things that you learned from them. And this is your chance to show a little appreciation and say, let them know some of the things that you found really valuable. So it's raise your hand, come off and share. We'll spend a few minutes doing that before we finish the lecture, let our guests go home. So does anybody like to volunteer? And if you don't, I'm going to pick on you. So just, okay, Alex, I saw your hand up.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
I had the pleasure, well, Dave, obviously, and then Dee just now. And honestly, I was genuinely surprised. Like, I knew I was going to learn things, but I didn't realize that I was going to learn things. You know what I mean? Very useful stuff that in a way that I could actually apply, because that's the problem. Like, is my brain going to process all of this? And what I discovered was that, one, I confirmed that UX really is just this, it's like a certain person. Dave and I talked about that. He confirmed. But the feedback that I got was put in such a precise way. And I just really appreciated that. Takes effort, that takes really caring. And so that for me really came across, is just that y'all don't have to be here, you know what I mean? And the thoughtfulness and the meaning behind the words, what really came through. So that was pretty wordy as I'm trying to get my brain to get to the point, but I just was blown away by how beneficial the experience was. And I'm even more stoked to come, take one of their jobs, maybe. Watch out. I'm coming for your job.
Gratitude and aggression. Love that. So
God bless you.
All right.
And we don't hire for somebody, to always stay below us, right? We hire people that are smarter than us.
You hire your replacement.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's right.
That's awesome. All right. So I think who's next, Bill?
Chris Gonzalez.
Okay, Chris Gonzalez.
I'm here. I think one of the words that came up for me when Alex was talking was empathy, and I think that's absolutely true from both Dave and Chris, who I talked to. And I want to say thank you to Chris for, she mentioned this to everybody about, you know, your transitioning experience being useful, but being able to validate that for me specifically, and having that empathy for like, no, your experiences that you've had before are very useful. And you need to speak more to that, or you should speak more to that, because it's very valuable. And then same thing for Dave, just being able to talk me through and taking the time to talk through some of the more business centered product pipeline type things that I'm not as familiar with. Because like we said before, you don't have to be here, you don't have to be doing this for us. I'm just really grateful. Thank you so much. I'm not going to be as aggressive as Alex, but thank you.
All right, who's next, Bill?
I'm sorry, this class is too much fun. Last but not least, Ethan, please finish us up.
Man, I feel like this is one of those like reverse pyramids that everybody's, you know, points distill down to the same point, because I'm just here basically now to echo everything that's been said. I mean, the thing that mostly stuck out for me, or maybe not mostly, but like forefront stuck out for me, was that my experience is directly relatable in some way, shape, and fashion. And that was like the biggest fear that I had kind of coming into this entire certificate program was everything that I was doing before like a waste of my time? And to get validation that it was not, was more valuable, I feel, than, well, maybe you guys did know that and that's why you told us, but it's definitely more valuable than I thought it was going to be. So thank you.
Oh man, thank you very much, Ethan.
So I was going to
y'all,
say something.
You are
Is
just,
it okay?
To my guests tonight, y'all just continue to be just so amazingly awesome. And thank you for not only being my friends, but volunteering part of your evening to support our students like you have. I hope all of you have sensed that your time that you volunteered was really appreciated, and you really have made a difference for our students at the end of this class to help them, you know, feel better about what they've done, and then also give them guidance as to what they still need to continue to do. And just the fact that you're willing to also connect with them. I noticed a lot of folks have put their LinkedIn. So thank you for doing that. Students, they don't have to do that. They're doing that out of the kindness of their hearts to stay connected. And as I've told you in every single class, how do you get good at something? Practice, 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 research, research, research. And the most important when you're trying to get a job is network, network, network. And that also takes practice to learn how to network really, really well. All right, I'm going to close it out. But before I do, I always like to give the last word to our guests. Is there anything any of our guests would like to say as a parting note to the class?
Dee, I think you had something.
Oh, well, I just was going to say that, you know, it really doesn't matter what you've done before. You can almost always figure out, you know, what is relevant. Like I always tell everybody that, you know, my first career was, I was a hairstylist, right? So, and in the beginning, you know, you might think, well, what is possibly relevant, you know, to UX? Well, you know, I spent 11 times a day, I would have to try and figure out what somebody was actually talking about to try and make sure that they got what they needed, you know, from me. And I had to learn how to ask the right questions to get that information from the people to make sure that they didn't leave upset, right? And, you know, there's a whole bunch of other, you know, skills in that, but that talking with the user and figuring out what they need really made user interviews. I was like, oh, I got that one. That's no big deal. I've been doing that for 25 years. That's easy, right? So there's always something that you can pull over, you know, into a UX career.
Awesome.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Well, folks, I'm going to let you get back. We're going to wrap up the class, but I also, yes, give them a huge round of applause for spending their evening with our class. And then I also want to say I'm going to be connecting with you because each of our guests tonight gets a J Shoe original coffee pick if you want it. But I know Dee has one, you know, and so I don't think, Chris, you don't have one yet, do you? You don't have a coffee pick.
Oh,
So
that's
so
too bad.
Dee-
I love mine.
yeah, so
It's on
so
prominent display on my
Jay, you're holding
mantle.
out on me.
well, Joe doesn't have one either, I don't think. Joe, do you have a coffee pick?
I don't.
Yeah, see, so and I've
I'm
worked
looking
with
forward-
Joe and known him 20 years. So there you go, Chris. So you know, but tonight Joe gets one if he wants one. So I'm going to be connecting with y'all. Think about what you want, but thank you all again.
And I
So-
only have one because I saw him handing
Well,
some
now-
out. And
now
I
you
like
get
jumped
two.
over chairs
Now
to
you
try
get
and
two. So you'll have to let me know who you would like as your coffee pick. So be thinking. All right, y'all. I'll let you get back to dinner. Thank you again. I'll be reaching out to y'all. All right.
Thank you, everybody. Nice job.
Talk.
All right. And so students, we have actually some slides to go through and but you know what? Should we give a little bio break or something before we jump in? Do we have time for that, Bill? What do you want to do?
Chris wants to pee in his chair, so I think we should listen to Chris.
Okay.
No, we're going to give you guys 5 minutes. We'll be back at 8:33. You're going to have a finish out that you will not believe. We're going to tell you how to quit before you've even started. So you're going to enjoy this next part. Yes, Alex.
All right.
8:33, guys.
All right. See you in 5. Bye.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. So, like I sort of teased out, the way this class ends is very unusual, and I love it. Pardon me. Because Brian has a unique view of portfolio and the UX program and how UX can enhance your life. And so, design thinking your life. So design thinking is not only about products, services, you can also design think your life. So on day one, you start your new job and start your exit strategy. I know, I mean, crazy, right? Nobody ever thought about this, but yes. When you start planning now for what you want for the future, the odds are you're going to reach it. So, baby step number 1, budgeting. Pardon me, is throwing down supermarket sushi. So, saving $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. Man, I think we were talking today about numbers like this, and I think less than half of Americans, maybe as millennials or Gen Z, have less than $500 in an emergency fund. So if a car breaks down or something happens, people go broke almost immediately. They go to their credit cards and they just cannot afford for anything not to happen. So having cash in the bank allows you to keep your life moving forward and to not stress out about things. Baby step number 2, your income is your most powerful wealth building tool by Dave Ramsey. Just so you know, a lot of this is going to be Dave Ramsey type of stuff. Dave Ramsey is all about getting out of debt and building wealth through your income. So pay off all debt except for the house using the debt snowball. You've got $1,000 in the bank. Now go to step 2. Take your smallest debt first while making minimum payments on all the others and really pay that small debt off. Go for success. Use momentum from one debt, one credit card paid off to the next, whatever those bills are, and then save your house, whatever it is, the biggest one for your last. So you can see here, example of credit card, bigger credit card, your car, and then maybe some big medical bill, or maybe it's your
Or 20 of them.
Yes, or your bachelor degree or whatever it is. Go from small to large. You're going to see success quickly, getting those small ones paid off, going to the next, and you will feel in control. That's a huge thing with the uncertainty of life. You want to be in control. So the way the snowball works, pay off a small one, and then the next small one, and the next small one. Then you get that car paid off. Then you get that medical bill, or your house is last. Maybe it's college debt, but it's like you will see success, and that moves you forward. Snowball effect. You can wander into debt, but you can't wander out. How many of y'all have felt that? It's like, oh, I can splurge. I got a new job. I feel good about something. I'm going to go ahead and get that clothing that I really wanted, or that I'm going to take that trip that I've just been dreaming about, but you don't have the money to pay for it. I'll just pay it off later. Well, it's so easy to sit there and go, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. But then the debt comes back and hits you in the ass. So baby step number 3, 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. So an emergency fund is, guys, to give you a little bit of background on myself, I've been laid off 5 times in the marketing and graphic design industry over 20 years. 5 times. It took me about 6 months to get a job each time. And then when I bought a house on my own, because I was single, I was like, oh crap. Well, I never really said, oh crap, because I had an emergency fund so that I could afford to be out of work for a while. And so there was never, there's panic when you're laid off, but not huge panic, because I had a way to get back into the workforce. I had money. I could pay off my apartment, my car. I had money set aside to pay that stuff off, so that when I got my job, I refunded my emergency fund, and boom, I was back in business. Didn't have to call my parents. So nearly 80% of Americans, so I talked about millennials earlier, but nearly 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. The UX industry pays well, pays better than most likely what you were doing in the past. It's kind of one of the reasons why you're here. So you need to think about, rather than splurging, oh, I can get that car that I want. Oh, I can do that European vacation. You guys want to pay off credit card debt. You want to build up that emergency fund. You want to put yourself in an area, in a place for success. You guys heard about Google and a lot of the tech companies laying off a lot of people. Yeah, you got to have an emergency fund, because that wasn't their fault, right? They didn't, do something wrong. The industry took a downturn, and so therefore they had to be prepared for it. So you need to be prepared. Once you've got the job you want, then you got to be prepared for potential layoffs. So Rachel Cruz, who is a daughter-in-law of Dave Ramsey, debt steals your future, saving secures it. With debt you owe, with saving you own. And so you guys really want to focus on, don't just go out because you're making a lot more money than you did when you get that great UX job. Really think about having that cushion for bad times that are potentially down the road, and you're going to feel much better about your life. An emergency fund turns a crisis into an inconvenience. Man, I don't know how many times. Well, I told you, I've been laid off 5 times. So, man, that could be a crisis, but having money in the bank allowed me to just go, okay, this sucks, but I'll make it through. After the 3rd layoff, you're like, well, I guess I can handle a couple more, right? Not what I wanted to do, but I never really freaked out, because I always had money in the bank ready to just get through it. So baby steps 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7. Invest 15% of your household income in retirement. Once you've gotten past the credit card bills, once you've got the 3 to 6 months of money saved up, then, only then you start number 4, and you start investing 15% of your household income into retirement. You may have thought, I've never been able to do that before. Well, when you make more money, you can. And you want to live on less than you make. And so consider that. The story of Jack and Blake, I kind of like this story and I kind of don't, because I'm Blake. I started late, not early. And what you want to get out of this is that Jack started investing in saving when he was 21. Well, guess what? We're all older than 21. So we may not have started. That doesn't mean you're SOL or shit out of luck, Shinola out of luck. So Jack started at 21 at $2,400 a year. And then at age 30, he put in $0 and he used compound interest. Blake started in 30 and then he finished at 67. So he invested for almost 40 years. Now we see the chart. Yes, if you were lucky enough to start putting money away, your money compounds greatly after you stop over 40 years. But guess what? I'm Blake. I was putting in more money than $2,400 a year as I made more money. And I never made much money. I only got into UX this year. So I was a teacher, man. I never made that much. But I saved like a mofo because I knew that I had to live below my means. And so, yes, Blake still came out with 1.5 million after 40 years. Nothing to sneeze at. We don't all have to be Jacks. Don't be feeling like the Jack story is unattainable because we're all older. No, having money in the bank, saving, that's what's important. Not these dollar amounts, just having your investments, having investments after you paid off the small debts, the larger debts, and you put money away on a regular basis. That's the main thing. Saving for your children's college fund. Some of you have kids, some of you don't. Man, just putting money away. I saw Shauna smiling, so thank you, Shauna. So yes, funding as early as possible is a nice thing. If you're not married, hey man, doesn't hurt. You know, if you want to be married and you want to have kids, you can start putting money away in those 529s. So if you are thinking that far down the road, great. If not, hey, again, starting with when your kids are older and you're able to put money away, it's still good. It's all good. It is all good. College is a blessing, not an entitlement. One of the huge things that Dave Ramsey talks about is that you don't go into debt so that your kid can go through college on a free ride. No, your retirement is number one. Your health is number one. You do the best you can for your kids. If they want to go to college, they can pay for it. So that's why children's college funds are pushed down the line. They're not before your emergency fund. They're not before your 3 to 6 months. That's later. If you can do it, great. If you can't, you're still there for your kids, but you got to secure your retirement first. Pay off your home early. Man, if you've done all the other steps, you're funding your child's college fund, you're making so much money that you are doing really well, then you can pay off your home early. I haven't done it yet. So, you know, not everybody does this, but Dave Ramsey says, should you pay off your home, interest versus taxes? You get an interest deduction on your mortgage, but is that less than just paying it off and just paying off your taxes? he did the calculations here. These slides are in the files folder, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. But the idea, though, is that paying $10,000 to the bank or $2,200 to the IRS on home taxes, man, you save a lot more money getting your home and your interest paid off in your house than you do with that tax break that you get on your year-end income taxes. So do more research on Dave Ramsey's website, check it out. The last one, and we all aspire to be here, I'm not here yet, build wealth and give. Do you know what people with no debt and no payments do? Anything they want. So now you can live life like no one else by building wealth, become insanely generous, and changing your family tree. Your focus and sacrifice got you here. You made it. You live like no one else. Now you get to live and give like no one else. And I know at this stage, you guys are like, dude, I want to be at stage 3. Stage 7 is kind of hard to imagine. You guys are all young, and it may be hard to imagine this space right now, but it is definitely possible. So what has been your plan for retirement to this point? How has this lesson changed the way you think about saving and dreaming for retirement? If you're a parent, how do you feel about investing for retirement before saving for your children's college fund? It may feel weird to save for your retirement. Put yourself first. Your kids need you around later. They don't, it's like my mom does not want me moving in at 65 because I didn't fund my college retirement. She wants me to be set. And so you guys got to put yourselves first before your kids. Your kids can always move in with you after college, but most likely you don't want to move in with your kids for your retirement. So retirement before college plan. If you're currently paying off a mortgage each month, how would you be paying off your home early? Change your life. Can you imagine all you're paying for is real estate or city taxes on your house, groceries and utilities, versus that huge honking house payment too? If you paid off your house early, man, you're living on a lot less money because the house is paid off. When is a time that generosity has impacted your life? Were you the giver or the receiver? I would say that most of us have been on the receiving end at this stage of our lives, but giving, that is something you might be able to look forward to with a job in the UX industry. So a dream without a plan is just a wish. We don't do wishful thinking. You can think your life. When you've got that job, don't just put it into new cars, bigger and more stuff. Think about designing the life you want to live too. So with that, guys, I burned through those slides. And so Alex says it depends where you live and your income for that one or no. I'm terrible with this stuff. Alex, I'll tell you, you just got to do more research, do more reading on Dave Ramsey's website to follow up, get more specific plans. This is not rocket science. I promise you, it is not. It is really about just getting the debt paid off and then incrementally saving, getting better at saving. I had to do this. I had to take a bank loan out when I was in my 20s because my credit card debt, I was spending 15% more than I was making per year because I was making $16,500 a year when I got out of college eons ago. I got into debt quickly, and then I had to take out a loan, stop using credit cards, get it paid off, and then I was able to start building cash reserves at 30. I haven't had to really pay off. We haven't bought a car in a while, but we could pay it off in cash if we needed to. And so you take those baby steps, you build up momentum, the snowball theory, and you guys can live the life and design the life you want to live. So with that, guys, I'm going to stop sharing. I am going to really 10 minutes before closing time. And Jay, I believe, may start his after hours at 9 o'clock. Jay, do you wanna follow up on that?
Did that song go through anyone's head? It's closing time. Or is it just me? No? Okay. All right. Sorry, just curious.
Yeah, there you go. So the what was it? I used to go to, gosh, what was it? Records, where I used to get videos, and they had a song right before they closed the video store. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, Happy Trails to You. Happy
Nice.
Trails to You. And they go on, they go, yeah, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, right? You know, so get the heck out of here. So anyways, we are not doing that yet, and I am open to doing after hours for whoever would have those burning questions that you want to hang out at the end of class. You know, I am not as available as Bill or Brian is, so I kind of do my volunteer time at the end of classes is where you guys kind of get a chance to get, you know, time with me. First of all, I want to say thanks for the cool shout outs to the speakers. Overall, was this a better experience than you were expecting today? I know there was maybe a little anxiety. Does anybody want to talk to that a little bit? Okay, Alex, I know you're like me. We always can talk. Here, hold on. I'm gonna pick on somebody before I call on you, Alex.
Maggie volunteered.
Oh, Maggie volunteered. Go ahead, Maggie.
I think it was nice that, I don't know, that you kind of coached us through like a few scenarios of what to say, because I was afraid that it would be like 20 minutes of like us just having to fill airtime. I think that was my fear. And it felt a lot more natural than I thought it would. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I'm going to give you guys, you know, I've teased out the idea. I'm working on my first outside of SMU course, which I'm going to be calling Networking for Introverts. So I'm going to be doing 3 versions of it. I'm going to be doing a free 1-hour version, and then I am going to do a 2-hour online course, and then I am considering doing a full day workshop for people that just really want to get good at networking, right? And if and the networking can be for anyone. You don't have to be an introvert to take the class, but I think introverts in particular struggle with how to network in places where they don't know people, especially, right? And so that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to give you guys some tips. It's going to be a communication class. It's, you know, I'm completely biased, and it's almost like an artist who loves their own stuff. But what I'm putting together so far, I'm like, this is really cool. So I'm really looking forward to teaching it, because I really think it can change people's lives. So all I'll say is stay tuned. It's either going to be the end of this month or in April. I haven't quite decided. I'm also running into like Easter and stuff, right? So I'm trying to figure that out too. So it might be April. So, but I'm putting it together. Yeah, just connect with me on LinkedIn if you haven't already, and then I'll post it when I'm ready to start doing those things. And like I said, the first one's going to be a free 1 hour, so that's a no lose situation for you. But having said that, Maggie, I love that you talked about the fact that, you know, it was an easy conversation. So one of my tips that I would give you is this: the mistake that people make is approaching networking conversations in 2 different ways. A lot of people assume that there's cold and warm introductions, and the secret to being able to talk to anyone is approach all conversations as warm conversations. Does that make sense? That is my secret. If I'm in an elevator, I was in an elevator today, and I literally was going down with a gal that I'd never met at Sabre. And by the end, she's like, "Hey, this is great. Nice meeting you." And it was just a 5-minute exchange. And she was introverted. And but I know that she felt good about the conversation, and it was because I approached it in a very warm way. Does that make sense? And she started off, I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And she goes, "Gosh, it's feeling like Thursday." And I go, "I know, it is feeling like Thursday to me too." And she was like, I can't believe it. I don't know what it is. The week's went. And so we just started talking up like we knew each other. Part of that is body language. Part of it is approaching it in the right way. And if you don't practice it all the time, you don't get good at it. So that practice, 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 I take it to heart, even going down an elevator ride. Does that make sense? That was an opportunity for me to meet somebody I didn't know and practice it. And why do we practice like that? Because when it matters, we want to have practiced, right? When it matters, when you're in a room with somebody who is in a company you want to work for, or is in a position that you want to network for so you can learn from, all that practicing that you did with complete strangers helps you engage with that person in a way that they are going to be more apt to remember you and be okay to connect with you in some way, right? So that's when I say practice, 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 I mean it. And I practice all the time in every way. Another thing that just happened today was I was walking by this gal who Bill and I are going to be working for, and we had a good conversation. And then I was left, and later on she goes, "Jay, do you have 2 more minutes?" And I said, "Sure." And she goes, "I am really struggling with this and I could use some help. Would you be willing to help support me on this? Could you find some time in your schedule to help me with this?" And I said, "Absolutely." Right? So that shows that when you are able to connect with people, not only are you going to help make your life better, but you're going to have an opportunity to make other people's lives better. And that's that empathy component that we said. So it's not just networking from I'm trying to get a job perspective. It's networking so that you can better connect with everyone that you may want to connect with, stakeholders, users, co-workers, other people in meetings, and that's going to help you be happier and more successful in whatever job you're doing, right? So I threw that big thing out there. I'm looking for thoughts or feedback. What do you think of what I just said there? And how can you take what I just said into action? That's the next thing. I'm going to pick on Tamara, and then Sherry. Okay.
Sorry, what was the question?
Question was, I talked about networking and the practice. What action steps do you think you might be able to work on moving forward to help you?
I think put yourself in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, and kind of make yourself talk to people even when it's slightly awkward. Just like you said, the elevator, that's a good opportunity. But aren't we all inclined to like elevator?
Yes,
I want to talk
absolutely.
to this guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now I'm a Gen Xer, and you know what I've seen on TikTok? Because when I'm doing my walks now, Facebook has TikTok videos they show me on Instagram, or maybe it's Instagram. I saw a video of Gen Xers partying in a club, and you know what they said? Nobody had a phone. We were just doing our thing. And that phone is your safety blanket. It's like Linus from Peanuts, right? You know, that phone is your safety blanket, and you are missing out on meeting so many people because it's just easier to go, "I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to flip and look at my phone instead of ignore everyone around me," right? And that is our default nowadays. And that is why everybody keeps talking about soft skills and how millennials and Gen Z don't have soft skills, is because they never talk to anybody they don't know, right? And networking is all about talking to people you don't No.
And not only that, they don't really talk face to face with anyone. It's all via text.
And well, and I'm debating, I probably won't include it in the 2 hour, but I think in my workshop, I'm going to have a whole section on conflict resolution. Because I noticed that that is a big skill set that people don't have struggle with, is like if they have a conflict with a coworker or their boss or other people, how do they resolve it in a way
And I
that
come just to like sit and watch that part. Conflict resolution is like my specialty. I mean, I've paid enough in therapy for over the last however many years that like I should, you know, but I mean, I could maybe teach it for you. I have all the things.
that is good. All right, we will talk. Sherry, go.
Okay, so I don't know, you had talked about networking, and what did I do last night? I was in a networking extravaganza with UX designers, and some had some experience and were in the field, and then some were like me, just getting out of a class and starting their UX journey. So I was able to connect and get a couple of names, and there was some interesting, like they were saying about different workshops, or how they learned what they learned, and different places to go look for projects to be a volunteer on. So I've actually signed up for a class, or I have networked through the Slack channel.
Yep.
And I have a group that I'm going to be doing a project on, and we have already done what we're going to work on, what are we going to choose for a project, and which team did we want to be on. So I'm excited.
That
I'm going to
is
get to
awesome.
practice.
Was it as scary as you thought it was going to be?
Yes. But well, no. So like tonight, I mean, it was scary, but part of like what we've gone through in this class, this very last class that we did with the interviewing skills and having something already practiced, that was very helpful. That was very helpful. And tonight with the interviewers, I had my script or whatever, but I didn't really use my script, right? I had to talk off the cuff, and there were a couple of places I stumbled, but I did pretty good. It was a lot more relaxed when I spoke about it.
Well, and just know that I did seed our interviewers a little bit because I picked really good people. Does that make sense? So just know that there are going to be different kinds of interviewers. Not all of them are going to be as friendly or caring or sharing as the folks that we had today, because you got to think of it from their perspective. They're sometimes in a room for 10 hours talking to as many people as they can cram in the slots that they have available, right? So just imagine you being in their situation, and there's people they like talking to, people they don't like talking to, and that's their job for the day or days. And so that can be pretty mind numbing to be an interviewer for that many hours in a row. So just, that empathy component that we talk about, think about it from their perspective too, right? Because that's going to help you kind of connect with them as well. I know we are officially 9:06, so we'll transition to after hours, and I'll just open up to free-form questions. But before we officially cut the class, is there anything else they need to do for the class, Bill? Is there anything they need to make sure they turn in, or from a grades perspective? I know SMU is on us. Is there any outstanding things they need to know about? And I wanted to give you that opportunity before we.
Thank you, Jay. So guys, as long as you have things on the mural boards, because that's where I look, I want to see some version of your resume, your personal branding should be on there, some PDF or Word doc or something. Now, if you turned it into the Canvas, you're fine. I will check there too. But I love going back and showing students the examples for the mural work because it's so much faster to show them. So that's why I prefer that. But yeah, just and your portfolio link on the portfolio page. So just having something that we can refer to. And yeah, that's it. And again, love hearing how the interviewers talked about how much of a great experience they had. You guys got to give yourselves a pat on the back. Nice
So
job.
the other thing I will say is follow up with the speakers for the ones that did share their LinkedIn. Follow up, drop them a nice note, right? That's always a great way to know how to connect, because what's happened for me is I meet a lot of people all the time. And a lot of times what'll happen is if I haven't seen somebody in a long time, and I'll confess, even former students, I'll go, wait a minute, why is that name familiar? And then I'll go back, and if you've dropped me a message, then it connects more with me as a human being. Does that make sense? Because I'll go to my messages and I'll go, oh yeah, Chris. Oh yeah, he's the therapist guy. Yeah, I remember now. Right? I mean, it's that. I mean, think about it from my perspective is I have, hundreds of students a year sometime that I teach. So it's hard for me if I'm not talking to you consistently to remember everyone, right? My brain just doesn't work that way as much. And part of it's dyslexia that I have trouble with names, but staying in contact, dropping a line, and I will tell you if somebody you want to connect, I'm giving you gold here, by the way. So if some of you might want to take some notes. But if you want to connect with people online that are thought leaders, like in AR, VR, research, if you have a particular segment of people you want to connect with, respond to their posts, like it, make a comment. And I've noticed that if you make a comment saying you support or think about their thing, and then put a request to follow them, like connect with them, a lot of times they will connect with you, even like PhDs, authors, all those people that, for those of you that do follow me, you see I'm connected to a lot of CEOs, authors, thought leaders in the sphere. That's
Well
how they
connected,
accepted
Jay.
me.
Very
Yeah,
well
yeah.
connected. I'll give
So,
it to you.
all right.
It was more than I even thought when I looked looked into it. I was like, oh, whoa.
And I'm also very, very, very selective, believe it or not, because I have like 600, I have like 600 people that want to connect with me that I'm not connected with. So I'm very strategic with who I connect. Now, students, if you bug me and I haven't connected with you, I'll get it automatically. Just sometimes the people that go through, I don't automatically see it. So if I haven't connected with you and you want to connect with, just bug me again, drop me a message and say, hey, Jay, I haven't connected with you yet. Because when you connect with me, you're connected to my network. Does that make sense? So that is a strategy, and that's a strategy for anybody that you want to connect with too. But like their stuff and write a comment. And if you write a comment before you connect with them, they're more likely to accept. So that's my little free gold nugget at the end of this class on networking. That works for me. And that's how I've been kicking butt and getting content. The other trick is, for those of you that follow me, is I just wait for all the really cool thought leaders in the world to share awesome content, and then I make a comment on it and repost it. And then other people go, oh, Jay's always posting the coolest stuff. It's because I post the cool stuff from other people. So that makes me look cool because I'm posting good stuff from other people, right? Does that make sense? So I don't have to write articles. I just repost the really cool ones that I like. And that's not hard. So that's another great strategy for LinkedIn on that. So anyways, I'm going to be quiet a little bit and open the floor up to y'all.
Hey guys, really fast, I got to go kiss my daughter goodnight. So I just want to thank you for a great session and for all the hard work you put in. I want to congratulate you. Thank you. And again, we're looking to your success. So we, want to see you guys thrive. And if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll try to answer those things. Okay.
Hey, we give Bill a hard time. Let's give him a
No,
shout
this
out.
program is not possible without you. Like,
Oh yeah.
you win the.
You got to see the wonders that Brian and Jay work. But thank you, Alex. Okay, you guys have a great evening.
Well, I know they work wonders, but you're like the behind the scenes guy that like puts all their craziness together. You know what I mean? Like you make their crazy happen.
Brian and Jay are just my hand puppets. It really is all me. I just,
you're just there.
So Alex, but thank you for the kind. Yeah, no, they put together an amazing program, and I was a part of it too. So I have to say, man, it's like that's why I keep coming back, because it was amazing for me too. So okay.
why is my brain going waka waka waka? So anyways.
Okay, but guys, any questions pop up, let me know. I'm wishing you guys a lot of success, and take care, and I will talk to you all later.
I'll see you in the office, Bill. I'll see you in the office at work.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
So all right. So we're more than officially into After Hours with Jay.
Shauna,
So go ahead.
I'm calling out Shauna.
Okay,
It's all
Shauna.
over her face. Shauna has worked so hard, Jay, like so hard. And we've been working, Ethan and Shauna and I have been like meeting regularly. And so I've learned her like, she has questions and something to say. Do it, Shauna. I'm muting myself. It's your turn.
I don't know what to say. I wanted to ask about the piece that I wanted to accomplish by taking this class was having a story to tell. And I didn't get a chance to really do that tonight. That's fine. It's not the time and place. But I would like some more feedback on if I accomplished it.
So when you walk me back a little bit. So you wanted to have a story to tell to the interviewer?
Yeah, well, like with my portfolio.
Okay.
So I went back and redid a lot on my website. I went back and wrote case studies for previous jobs that I had, because I was really, really moved by them. And I had, like Alex said, I have the receipts from the work that I put in.
Sure.
I can talk the talk, but I have the receipts. So I just never had the ability, I have the ability, but I just haven't been able to make it a coalescent word back, right? But I think I have, and I feel so much better after taking this class.
Nice.
But I still would like, and just to see, if it's a good story.
So Bill has volunteered to, if you guys want to continue to pitch Bill and get feedback from Bill has volunteered to help review your portfolio, so go through some stories and like that. I highly encourage you to take him up on his offer.
Okay.
I will give you a confession. Portfolio review is not something I enjoy. Just period. I mean, that's just not what I enjoy. So I don't volunteer to do it. Bill loves it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
What I love doing is helping people learn how to communicate better. I like helping people learn how to network better. I like helping people who are struggling at talking to people learn how to do that better. So that is my passion. That's where I'm, developing these workshops and everything around. And this class is both. right? This, if you don't know how to network, you're never going to get a chance to show your portfolio, right? So you could have the best portfolio in the world, but if you don't know how to connect with people or set up interviews or be able to make those connections, you're going to have limited opportunities to tell your story, right? So that's where Brian and I initially came together, as Brian is really good also at wanting to do the portfolio reviews with Bill, but that's not my thing. Part of it is me as a dyslexic. That's really hard for me to go through that process with people. Does that make sense? So it's not something
Yes.
I intuitively enjoy. So I'm just being super transparent, right? That's why I don't offer my services in doing that. And I never will. You're never going to see me go, hey, pay for me to sign up to go through your portfolio. I'm not going to do that. When I do coaching, it's more around, where are you struggling as a creative? Where are you struggling as a communication? What are some of the things that what are the roadblocks that you're running into that you're trying to overcome and having a hard time doing it? That's the type of stuff that I really think I can bring to the table and help support people, right?
And
From that communication.
That's what Shauna was getting at. She has an incredible, like, she is so passionate for good reason about
Yeah.
her past work. And so she's basically asking, like, how do I communicate that? How do I tell that story, like, to where it seamlessly flows into, like, this is me and this is what I've done, but I'm also UX, if that makes sense. And Shauna, did I
Yeah, that's what I'm
communicate
saying.
that correctly?
Okay,
Just want to make
so
sure that I'm speaking the right language.
For this question, it's less about the portfolio and more about the communicate, like the storytelling,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
what
all
you're
right.
good at. Yeah.
Storytelling, yes.
Yeah, so I think with that regard, then it's understanding who you're talking to, because I don't tell the same story to everyone. I adjust my story. I think one of the next tricks and tips that you do in public speaking, one of the first things you learn is you have to understand your audience, right? Because if you're speaking to a colleague, you're going to tell your story differently than if you're speaking to a VP in your company.
Right.
You're going to tell that story differently. And then if you're speaking to the CEO or SVP, your story is going to be different as well. So the first thing about good storytelling is know who you're talking to as much as possible, right? Know your audience. Know your audience is key. And that's where this intertwines with know your user, right? Because so when you say, I want to tell my story, you have to say, why am I communicating my story? What is the end goal that I want to have with communicating my story? Is it to try to get a job? Is it to try to connect with this person? Is it to try to find similarities that I have with this person? I mean, when I meet somebody, I'm very deliberate in my objective. Like with the gal in the elevator this morning, it was, I don't know this person. I'm going to try to practice my skills, my cold introduction skills with this person who I don't know. And you got to think about it. Think about it this way. I am a giant. And this gal was like 5'2", and she gets in an elevator with me, who she doesn't know as a guy, who's this giant, big giant, and I have to make her feel comfortable. So my objective was, how can I position my body language, my tonality, everything to not make her grab her keys and goes, okay, I got my keys here if he tries anything, right? You know, I mean, and I realized that is a big deal for women, right? Because so many women feel unsafe, right? Sometimes in different situations, even in elevators and other things. So my goal was to say, how can I make this person not feel intimidated by me and develop a quick rapport with her, right? Who I didn't know, right? Also, I'm a married man and I don't want people to think I'm hitting on him either. Does that make sense? So that was And there's another way that you can do that too. So do you see how complicated that simple scenario of me meeting a gal in an elevator is? That there's all these levels of things that I was trying to adjust: my body language, my tonality, what I said, how I said it, how far away in the elevator I stayed from her, right? Does that make sense? My body
Yes.
spacing between her. I didn't go up real close to her. I mean, that would have made her really uncomfortable. I kind of went to the other side of the elevator, you know what I mean, or stayed on my side. So these are all factors that they sound silly, but I saw Chris nodding. I mean, personal space is a big deal that we know, especially with the opposite sex. Does that make
Only
sense?
a good empath considers all these things.
Yeah, I mean,
A lot
that's
of people would not even
my
begin to
son.
think about the other, like that they're responsible for, like, you know what I'm saying? They get in that elevator and be clueless.
yeah, and I think a lot of people don't practice. That is my thing, and I think you know, there's a old movie called Larry Glenn Ross that's about salespeople, and it's always be closing, right? ABC, always be closing. Because you are always selling. You are always selling because you are selling the fact that you are a good person. You're selling the fact that you can help somebody. You're selling the fact that you're not somebody to be afraid of. Right? And so you're always selling these things to make connections with people, right? It's not always be selling to try to get something from people, right? That's a kind of a malicious kind of perspective, but it's always be selling so that when the opportunity is there, when I'm in a job interview and the gal who's interviewing me happens to be 5'2", and I'm in a room with her, she doesn't feel intimidated by me, so that she might actually consider hiring me and being okay for me to be on the team. Does that make sense? So all this practice that I do with gals in the elevator, making them feel comfortable, making them not feel like I'm a threat, making them feel like I could be part of the team and she'd be okay with working with me every day. Those are all communication skills. Now, Shauna, I know it seems like you asked a very direct question about your story, but really it's about being able to connect with people and then adjusting your story based on who's in front of you, right? Because if I see that I'm in a room with an A personality type who is very like, hey, I got to go, I got shit to do, you know, you have 30 seconds before I'm out of here, right? Because I don't have time to be interrupted. Then you have to say, hey, great to meet you. Where are you in the company? And that's what I did. I said, oh, hey, I got off the elevator and said, oh, where do you hang out? And she goes, oh, I'm in finance. And I go, oh, I know a few people in finance. And I said, I mentioned a few people. And she goes, oh, yeah, I know them. I work with them. Right? Does that make sense? So that's that practice thing that you tell your story. But what, you know, what's most important, Shauna, and I'm you're seeing my now neurodiverse, me just being neurodiverse, but it's not worry so much about your story, but worry about getting other people's story out of them. Because when you're the type of person who likes to tell your story, people are but if you can get other people to tell their story,
Yeah.
they're going to remember you as an amazing person and go, I'm so glad I met you. So it's almost flip the script. Instead of worrying about how to tell your story really, really well, make it your mission to get other people to tell you their story. And do you know why? When you get other people to tell you their story, you're going to start paying attention to the stories that resonated with you. And you're going to start thinking, oh, that was a great way to tell your story. And then you're going to use what you hear to adjust your story to be able to say it that way. Does that make sense? So you're going to get lots of people to tell you their storytelling secrets. And then
Sean,
you're
you
going,
have a story that when expressed in a certain way, like it does exactly what Jay is saying. Like it makes me want to tell, like, do you remember that day after class? I don't know if you remember. It was an in-person, I think it was one of Preston's classes. And you and I like wound up just having like a conversation afterwards. And it was literally something that you said, and it was a very small piece of your story. And it was like, I connected. And then we started conversating back and forth. And I was like, oh, whoa. And I told you a little bit about my story. And then I think that's what Jay is talking about. Like that moments like that, your experience and your passion and the things that you've accomplished and the people's lives that you have truly changed as a result of your hard work and skills that are very applicable to UX design. Like when you harness that, like when you kind of like figure it out, like Jay's saying, like you're going to be surpassing Jay in the networking. You're going to be teaching Jay, like he's going to be taking your networking class.
so
You better watch it, Jay. You better watch out.
yeah,
Just kidding.
Yeah. Get in line with all the people who are going to surpass me. I think Alex is onto something there. Worry less about what is your complete story that you want to memorize,
Yeah.
and focus in on more on how you can connect with people. I think that is the first step. Because if you have this long story that you've memorized and you got it really down, and you connect with somebody and you're trying to force telling your story, then it's going to seem forced. Does that make sense? Where if you work on just learning how to connect with people as you talk about yourself, you will over time figure out different versions of your story and different ways to connect that'll resonate. And you use all these practice sessions. You walk away like a comedian practices his jokes. Huh? Did anybody laugh? No. So, you get in there and you go, okay, that went really good. Or I said this and that worked, or I did this thing and that worked. And so you make a mental note and say, yeah, I need to try that again and see if that works. And if you try it and it doesn't work, you say, was that the same type of person? Was that a person who was higher than me? Is that somebody out of my social circle? And you look at the variables and gamify it a little bit, Shauna, so that you look at the results and say, hey, was that an awesome result, or was that not so great result? And then you start practicing and trying new and different things. And then what's going to happen over time is you're going to get natural. It's going to come out, and you're not having to think of this whole story script, that who is Shauna? It's good, because that's really unnatural for people to go, yeah,
She wants
hi,
people
Shauna.
to feel it. Like she wants people to feel the same and get it. And I think what she doesn't realize is when she's not thinking about focusing on getting,
Yes.
people to get it, it's so natural that it just like it lands, and it lands in like just a few words. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's like your energy combined with just a few sentences. Like
You're overthinking it.
being
As I
yourself.
think what Alex is saying is you're overthinking this and you're getting yourself nervous. And when you're nervous, you're going to make other people nervous. So just be awesome, be your awesome self. And then people are going to respond back to you being awesome. Does that make sense? Just be really warm. I would say that's the thing, is treat every stranger that you want to meet in a networking thing as a friend.
Okay.
And if you approach them like a friend, you'll be very surprised at the reaction you get back. So I know Chris is hanging out here. So Chris,
I've been watching the face. I'm like, Chris, your gears are like, I'm literally like
He's
watching.
listening to music.
Yeah, it's funny.
yeah, he's just like,
It's like
we are the champions, my friend. Anyway, yeah.
There was a bug flying around, so I'm just like watching. I get distracted too. But that's
It was
that's
a
really
bug,
cool.
Jay. It was a bug. I had
Bug, I
nothing
got the
really going
bug.
on. Yeah,
Of like trying to motion with my eyes to my left, like there's a bug.
yeah. It's like
Please.
a cat, right? My cat's always when the mosquito gets in the house. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit, Chris. What's kind of some of your takeaways from this class?
From the whole class, there's
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
it's
Was
just-
it what you expected, or was it different?
I think it was extremely different in the way that I knew that I wanted to do this program because it was closer to where I lived and I can make connections close to where I was, but I think I learned so much more in the process, and you guys are actually a lot, I think, I don't know what the word is, a lot more adept at teaching than a lot of the professors and people that I've had in the past. So I wasn't expecting to learn as much and to put into practice as much as I have. And I think in return for you guys putting in so much effort, I put in a lot more effort than I think I have in a class before. So it's exhausting, but so worth it. So I appreciate it.
Do you feel a sense of achievement at the end of this a little bit? I mean, to say that you worked your tail off, but then now you actually have something you feel pretty proud of?
Yes, I think I'll feel it more tomorrow when I sleep, but yeah.
You
That's
also relate like working on stuff.
For like so many weeks.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
So, who
Deprivation.
did you interview? You interviewed with Chris, right? Who else did you interview?
And Dave.
Oh, and Dave, man. Yeah, Chris and Dave was good. Who did, and you, Alex, you were Dave and D, right?
Dave and D. Dave, like
Yeah.
I want him to adopt me. Like I want him to be my uncle. Like I want him to be Uncle Dave. And then
He's a good guy.
D, like if I call one of you and it's a collect call from the county jail, it's because I was stalking her. Because y'all, I want, like she is working with the Mayo Clinic. Like hello. And she was just such a badass. Like she had such great constructive like criticism, or I don't know, people are so sensitive to that fucking word. There's nothing wrong with criticism, damn it. Anyway, she just like blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind. I'm like, wait a second, like where do you live? What are your, like, when are you home? Where do you go? When are you at Starbucks? And maybe
All right. Don't make it so D never shows up for any more of our students. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. All right.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you should say that.
I think y'all get the point though. I'm like,
I get it. You are a huge D fan. You're a huge D
amazing.
fan.
I
Yeah.
need to know how she got where she got. That's what I'm saying.
So she is very open. I think she's more Facebook than she is LinkedIn, to be quite honest. So just give you a hint there. But she's really, really cool. She's an ex-Adobe person as well. And she is a LinkedIn expert. I mean, she has a lot of classes on LinkedIn. So that's something to look into. Is she's kind of a badass. I mean, go ahead.
Sorry, I just thought it was really cool that I looked at her stuff on LinkedIn. I didn't know that they had like education courses on there. Like that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, one of the things that I've told you is in my old age now at 53, I only want to surround myself with people who are cool. Does that make sense? That's kind of I don't want to hang out with people who are not cool. So I only hang out with people who are cool. And that has made me a lot happier, because I used to try to hang out with people that I thought I should hang out with but weren't cool. And that really makes you sad, because then you're trying to hang out with people that just, it's forced and it's weird and it's whatever. And I don't think that makes for a good life, right? Because, so just the universe will put you in connection with the people you're supposed to be with. And so that is I would take that as a direction. that if you suddenly find yourself at a cool networking event and you get a chance to talk to somebody and you connect, it's the universe pushing you guys together for a reason. I think this was completely random tonight, Alex, but the fact that you got Dave and Dee who really resonated with you, I think that was a good thing. I also think that the universe does work in mysterious ways, right? I mean, normally Brian is on here and he normally directs people a little bit. He'll say, hey, I want you to put this person in this room or this person in another room.
Yeah.
And Bill and I talked about that. And I said, Bill, just it's random, dude. Do whatever you want to do. And so that could have altered, right? So the fact that Brian wasn't here tonight actually made it for you to have the experience you did have. And that's the universe, right? Brian had a conflict. He wasn't able to make it to class. And so, you might not have had that experience had things turned out differently, right? And, you made the decision to sign up for this course. You made the decision, to invest money in saying, I believe in my future. I believe that I can do this. I believe this. Is the world set up for people who are neurodiverse? No. Are you going to have to learn some skills to figure out how to work more effectively in corporate environments? Yes. Are you going to have to learn how to manage living in a neurotypical world like I have had to do? Yes. Is it going to be a little difficult and challenging? Are you going to have some false starts? Are you going to have some situations that don't work out and you're not a good fit? Yes. I'm telling you all those things. But if you stick with it, you can find companies, positions, jobs that are a good fit, and you will be able to take care of your family and you will be able to do your thing. I firmly 100% believe that. I firmly believe that all of you are going to do really well. I have never said it's going to be easy. I've said it's going to take some work and it's going to take some effort. It's going to take refinement on communication, portfolio, jobs, networking, all those things. But all of you here, I see no reason why you can't land in a job that is a good fit for y'all. I honestly believe that. But I think it is going to take a few false starts, a few bad jobs, a few bad bosses, and some other things. And you go, oh, that wasn't it. But just realize the universe puts you in place. I mean, I told you guys my story. My first gig, I was making a certain amount of money. It was horrible. Then my second gig, I was making more money and it was not the right fit for me. And then, I've been at Sabre. This is going to be like 8 years that I've been at Sabre. It's the longest corporate gig I've ever had in my life. And, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, oh yeah, Jay, I see you as a design strategist in a travel software company. No, I mean, I was doing animation for Comedy Central. So
It's cool.
that I would have never thought that. Does that make sense? So yeah, so I've been where you guys are. I've transitioned. I think this is a great career. I think it's only going to get more interesting with AI and machine learning and VR and all these things that you're learning. AR is bad at. AI is bad at empathy. AI doesn't understand
That's
human
really
beings.
bad. AI
Yeah.
is not good. I mean, it's great, but it's not good at being human.
No. And so they're going to need people that understand how to be human and connect with human and deal with human. And those are going to be the jobs of the future because AI is going to take all those jobs where people are just doing spreadsheets.
The money is where figuring out where human and AI meet and they can work together, and accessibility, web accessibility, where it's going, I feel like, and this is my very non-educated, this is just my brain and like the ideas and the things it comes up with, but I just feel like AI, machine learning, and accessibility, they're going to come together, and it's like where so many solutions are.
Yes, 100%. And that's
And
where
I'm going to be the one to fucking figure it out.
I think you need to position yourself. I honestly think, Alex, that you need to position yourself with like developer types who aren't as sensitive, and you can have good conversations with them about how you can help them. Because, and I think it with accessibility, that would be a really good fit for you. I have a strong feeling that around neurodiversity or accessibility, or that is something that you understand, that is something you can relate to, that is something you're passionate about. And if you can find a gig that where you, I also think that once you know your stuff, you really know your stuff. And I think if you become a subject matter expert around accessibility, that you can help developers make sure their software is more accessible. And I think with your personality, working with developers in that respect, that's going to be good. I think you have to just be mindful. You're going to scare off a lot of skittish people. And
Oh, that I know.
yeah, and so like introverted UX designers tend to be like soft spoken, and and I don't know how well you would fit on that kind of team. But I think if you were helping developers make sure their software is so they don't get fined by the ADA, I think you would be like, hey guys, all right, I just did the testing. Here's all the bugs. Da 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 da. We got to fix this. How can I help you fix this shit? Right? I mean, then the developers will like be, yeah, okay, yeah, we need to fix it because we don't want to be fined, that type of thing. So learning how to do audits, learning how to do those things, I think you would be fantastic at. And I think you could find a remote job that you could do this remotely and take
Oh
care
no,
of your
get my
family.
ass up out of this house. Please.
Well,
No neurodivergent person should be working out of their bedroom. I already have insomnia because obviously ADHD, PTSD, you combine those, nobody fucking sleeps. Well, I'm in my room working, and now my brain is like, the only thing you do in this room is work. So what do I do all night now? I don't sleep. I like do this shit, which is where all these bizarre, crazy ideas I've generated. But I also think like I have the I'm very direct and I have that side, but and maybe Shauna, I need an honest answer. Because like my feelings they can take it. Like they're very difficult to hurt.
Like I would
I
hurt
do think that I have an ability to like when the time is necessary, like switch into a very empathetic, like supportive, softer, like
I absolutely believe that.
side of me.
I think you need to adopt your caring, supportive persona in corporate environment.
It's hard because I sometimes I get tired of being that. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I get tired of being the person that everybody fucking comes to with their problems.
Me too. Me too. And you have to work. Chris would probably tell us, work on your boundaries, right? on boundaries, right? You need to.
And then when no one needs me, I'm like, oh wait, does somebody need anything? You know what I mean? You like bitch about like no one needs me, and then all of a sudden it's like,
and it's feast and famine. Everybody needs you, and then no one needs you.
Somebody
Anyways, I think. Oh, so
I hear the baby crying.
Yes, we need to resolve this. Gals, thank you very much for being part of this class and being awesome and just being part of the program. I hope you guys felt this was a good use of your time and money, right, on that, and you had a good time tonight. So Shauna, I will tell you I'm amazingly overwhelmed right now with a bunch of stuff on my plate, but LinkedIn is still the best way to reach out to me. And like I said, as I get some of this other stuff going, if it's something you feel like you want to do, hang out or do whatever, I'm more than happy to support you however I can.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. And Alex, I know you and I are going to be talking anyway, so the universe put us together for whatever reason.
I want the neuro, your design, like you're helping neurodivergence, and then also that desire to like get the workplace to understand how to utilize us, like
Yeah.
how to create a space and environment where like we can actually thrive, because our problem is not in the knowing. It's the frontal in the executive functioning, it's the doing. And so with the right, like environment, we like
Can
it's
kill it. Yeah.
yes. And I have been just like ruminating on that ever since that last class that you were so generous with your time, but it was so impactful. And I just have been thinking and thinking, and I'm like, this needs to be like a bigger, like this could be so much bigger, and not just with people working, but like experts joining forces. And of course my brain goes to like some of the like in around town that I know that are, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if everybody and this person, I just feel like, I don't know. I see you go like, my brain's like 10 years. And I just think you have something, you're on to something. And my brain has not stopped trying to think like, well, how does it get bigger? And like, where can me and a million other neurodivergents and then experts come and figure out like, what does this look like,
Well, I've had a fantasy, and I'll say this, I've had a fantasy of neurodivergence unite, right? Because we're such good problem solvers that if you put our focused and brain energy in the right direction with the right kind of funding, with the right people that have these problems, imagine the battery of brains connected together of neurodivergence, just focusing on particular problems in the world. It would imagine autistics and dyslexics and ADHD all working together to solve world problems. We would knock that shit out.
I just imagine a nonprofit, like an organization that is powerful. Like I want to scream it to the mountaintops. Like because that's exactly where my brain, like your dream it's very similar to what I have been dreaming, because I just, like I was something like 80% of people with autism, it might be higher, do not have a job.
It's 20% of the population has some form of disability, and 80% of that 20% is not working.
The thing is that with an organization that does what you're doing with like single people, but on a broad scale, and then with bringing in like some experts, like you know what I mean, like psychologists and especially like oh gosh, there's one that is at UT Southwestern. He's a neuropsychologist, and he could but it's like people could get jobs. Those numbers should be different.
And it's going to be about training people who are neurotypical to how to work more effectively with people who are neurodivergent. And that's a big lift. I mean, it's kind of like we're at the beginning of the gay pride kind of movement, that people have to accept neurodivergent people for who they are and understand this isn't like a choice for us. Like we didn't wake up someday and say, oh yeah, I choose to be neurodivergent, right? I mean, it's just the way our brains are wired. But that doesn't mean that we can't contribute to society in a really compelling and powerful way if given the right opportunities and the right positions. And that's just something that is a big lift that the universe is pushing me in that direction anyways. I just have to figure out what that looks like for the future. So I think it's stay tuned. Right.
Well, I'm here for it, and I have some connections in terms of like the professionals and that really deal with like really good ones within the DFW. And I don't know, I just, cause all I think about is, well, my husband for one, who his autism, God
Yeah.
bless him, but in the workplace killed him.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But my son, I'm like, what does his future look like? You know, and I'm like,
I
how
have
do
a
I change
daughter.
that? How do
I
I
have a-
make these odds better? It's possible. We can do it.
Yeah, and I have a daughter who's dyslexic. So I'm in the same situation.
Yeah. Oh,
All right, my friend, I am starving. I haven't
I know. I
eaten.
haven't eaten all day. I just
All right,
realized.
so
during
let's
our-
go eat, and I will talk to y'all later. And just let's stay in touch on LinkedIn.
All right,
Sure.
bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.